Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio. And now, here's our host, Dr. Vanessa Anceloni.
Welcome, dear listener, to Kardec Radio, and we are here live from the Chantilly studios at Kardec Radio. We ask you to forgive us for some technical difficulties we were experiencing with our system here, but we are back here. Today we're going to talk about music for every soul, and the very author of the website, musicforeverysoul.com, is the singer, songwriter, sound alchemist, performer, visionary, facilitator, educator, Mark Stanton Welsh. And he is going to tell us much about spirituality, music, and healing. There's so much to learn. He is a sound healer. Have you heard about that before? If you haven't, this is the way to go. By the way, dear listener, we want to share with you that at KardecRadio.com we have a new campaign, which is the Gospel Faves. The Gospel According to Spiritism is celebrating 150 years of its publication, and this book has transformed millions of lives around the world. And we want to know which passage of this book is your favorite. Last week we already shared some of it. This week we're going to share others. Listeners are sending these messages to us, and we'll share them here with you as well. What about yours? Just write to us at kardecradio@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to share them with other listeners today. If you're listening to us now, you can share it at the chat room of Blog Talk Radio, and we'll be happy to discuss a little bit about that with you if you are willing to do so. By the way, in a month and a half from today, the 8th U.S. Spiritist Symposium is going to happen in Chicago, Illinois. I wouldn't miss it if I could come. So if you can come, please register at www.spiritussymposium.org. Also, in 2 weeks, Divaldo Franco is coming to Washington, D.C., and you can get to know about the information at pcnew.net. The Spirit Society of Virginia, together with the Spirit Society of Baltimore, are sponsoring this beautiful event, together with the Allan Kardec Spiritist Society of Maryland, Spiritist Society of North Beach, and the Misericordia de Menezes Spiritist Society in Maryland. And this event is about doing good, the spirituality and the science of doing good. Divaldo Franco with Dr. Stephen Post will be at the National Museum of Women in the Arts, right in the core of Washington, D.C. Can you believe parking is free? I cannot believe it either. But God is great, and admission is free, parking is free. You may be asking, what is the catch? The catch? Your heart. All we want is to share the good news that when you do good, you feel good. Everybody is doing good. And when you're doing good, everybody is happier. And when we are happier, the world is happier too. Come along and get to know what this is all about. When the good spirits tell us that doing good is good for us, they were not kidding. Science has proof nowadays. You want to know more? Come and join us. Beautiful event. March the 27th, Thursday evening at the National Museums of the Women in the Arts. Beautiful building, beautiful facility, beautiful city, and wonderful speakers. Speakers that speak from their hearts. And of course, Divaldo Franco doesn't stop here. He's going to keep on his journey. Soon after coming to Washington, D.C., he's going to New Jersey, Boston, New York. And you want to know where else? write to us at KardecRadio.com. We have a contact form. We'll be happy to listen from you. Can you believe, dear listener, a few days ago I got to know of a suggestion somebody made at Kardec Radio that we have a YouTube channel for Kardec Radio. And we thank you for the listener who has sent this message, and we say we certainly would love to, but at this point we need volunteers. There's so much we can do. We're few, though good-hearted volunteers, but we need more volunteers to do so. So if you're listening to this and you want to help us set up this YouTube channel and other things at Kardec Radio, we will be super happy to have you on board in this team of love and service. Well, today, as we're going to talk about music for every soul, actually, Mark Stanton Welsh from California is going to be here with us talking about this very topic. And because this is a joyous moment, we're going to kickstart the program by reminding you that Allan Kardec asked this very question to the spirits in the Spirits book. Do the spirits actually listen to music? Everything is vibration, they say. The bottom line, everything is vibration. In another book that was published by the Frenchman, educator, writer, wonderful heart, Leon Denis, between the 19th and 20th century, Leon Denis wrote this book about spiritism and arts, in the arts. Phenomenal book, was extensively studied at the Spirit Center about 4 years ago, and we learned about the importance of music, how music is transformative, can be healing, because after all, it's all about vibration. So selecting your music in your everyday life is really of the essence to achieve healing. So when we talk about music, we're talking about joy. How about setting up this moment of learning and talking with friends in this message of joy by the Spirit Mei Mei through the medium Chico Xavier. It's in the book and CD, Enlightening Messages, which was psychographed by Chico Xavier. And you can buy it at the Spirit Society of Baltimore's website, bookstore, ssbaltimore.org. Let us listen to this, and soon after the break, Mark Stanton Welsh is going to be here with us.
Joy. Joy is the song of the hours when God caresses your passage through the world. Everywhere flowers bloom as smiles of nature, and the wind combs the field's hair with resting music. The water from the fountain is liquefied care in earth's heart, and the small golden grain of sand is a message of joy from the ground. Do not allow, therefore, that your difficulty transforms itself into numbing sadness for others, even if everything appears to conspire against the happiness that you await. Lift your eyes to the smiling face of life that envelops you, and bolster joy wherever you go. Bless and serve always, even among tears. The rose, although subjugated by thorns, still offers its perfume, and sunrise awaits generously for the night to finish in order to renew itself. Daily, in a party of love and light.
We will return to our program after these messages.
Getting to the Light, Spiritist Therapy for Discarnate Spirits is a small book that offers guidance to Spiritist practitioners and Spiritist counselors. Purchase your copy at www.ssbaltimore.org.
Nourish Your Soul with Kardec Radio.
If you missed out on a previous shows, no worries. We have an on-demand section of all previous shows and interviews. Go to our website at www.kardecradio.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.
Help prevent suicide by reading and sharing these books with others. 2 great books are available to help in this Kardec Radio campaign to prevent suicide. Suicide, All You Need to Know, by the international Spiritist speaker Richard Simonetti. You can buy your copy at www.roundtablepublishing-uk.com. Also, Memoirs of a Suicide by the medium Yvonne Pereira. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Kardec Radio, live every Saturday at 11 a.m.
Kardec Radio now offers more programs during the week and weekends. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can follow the beautiful program God at Home with Francisca Kranz and the British Spiritist community. They will brighten your days by doing a God at Home meeting wherever you are in the world, while teaching you how to do the same in your own home with your family and friends. Every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will hear incredibly inspirational Spiritist talks directly broadcasted by Spiritist Network. There will be true educational moments to carry out to immortality. Every Saturday, live interviews, Bridging Health and Spiritism with the host Dr. Vanessa Anceloni. You may ask questions to the interviewed guests by calling 858-769-4705. And every Sunday, tune in to Spiritist Awareness at Kardec Radio. You will hear a series of segments on a diversity of Spiritist topics. Kardec will broadcast the Spiritist Moment with Kirsten DeMello, the reading of the Spiritist book by John DeRosa and Steve Shepard, Spiritism in Your Life with Drs. Marco and Joyce Magalhães, Spiritism and the Gospel with Luis Sergio Marotta, Spiritist Education for Youth and Children with Bernadette Leal, Spiritist Music with James Marotta, Neuroscience and Spiritism with Dr. Vanessa Anceloni, and many more segments coming soon. Enjoy it all and nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
And now we return to our program.
Dear listener, we're going to talk about music for every soul. Can you believe it? Music for every soul. Return to your true vibration with the singer, songwriter, sound alchemist, performer, visionary, facilitator of change, and educator, Mark Stanton Welsh. And he is here with us directly from California. Thank you so much, Mark, for being with us today.
Well, good morning to you, and what a delight it is. Thank you so much for having me.
I know it's so early there, but you're here with us, so we're very happy that you can join us today. And we heard so many good things about you, especially from one of the hosts at Kardec Radio, Bernadette Leal. I think she was at one of your workshops recently, and she mentioned that to me. I said, wow, that's a wonderful opportunity for Kardec Radio's listeners as well. So, Mark, what is it about music in you? How did you get to where you are today?
Boy, that's a loaded question. Music is essentially what I came to do here, although it took a little time for it to happen. Music evolved from the beginning really as a tool for me just to connect with friends and connect with people. And this happened way back in 6th grade when I picked up my first guitar, and I played an old song called Dead Man's Curve because I didn't have to put my fingers on the guitar because it was able to play with open strings. And I played it for my girlfriend at the time. She says, "Oh, you're so wonderful." and I was hooked at that point on music. So it grew from many ways from that point until I got my first really nice guitar when I used my student loan for college to go ahead and actually get that. I was following some higher guidance, I'm sure. But in the early days when I started writing music, it was really about just working for my inner self and writing about kind of the catharsis and the challenges of being early or late teens and then into my early 20 years when I was in college. And it went from there through a whole lot of different variations until I reached the point where I began in the late 80s to actually begin to write songs along what I call a spiritual path. And those songs, they started to show up in a very, very powerful way as vehicles for not only myself, but really for the people who were listening as well, because I was involved in a New Thought church at the time, and I was music director, and so I began writing on a weekly basis for the Sunday service. And 20 years later, I had hundreds and hundreds of songs that were about the reawakening of not only us, but the inner self as well as the outer self and the shifts that are going on in the world. Boy, it's hard to put it all into words in terms of the perspective, but I have learned a great deal about the power of sound and the form of music and how beautiful a tool it is to actually shift and make change within people in a very powerful and increasingly quick way in these times. So there's a lot of things we could talk about.
And we are living at such special time, Mark.
Yes.
And it's probably the best time also for music to come along and help the changes that are happening nowadays, right?
Yes, and if people will allow it, and trust what they are called to, the kind of music they're called to in the moment. I believe it's no accident that we wake up with certain songs in our head, or we hear something in passing, or we get something on the radio when you shift a channel in the car. Everything has information for us. Now, having said that, we can trust the cosmos and let it unfold for us and just hear the soundtrack of our days, and we can consciously start to find and bring music into our lives that we know is going to serve the vibration that is shifting so quickly. And that's where a lot of artists in these times, and even mainstream artists, are starting to bring themes and ideas in that are more about self-affirmation, about helping people to accept who they are and to move beyond the limitations that essentially we have bought into as a culture and as a human race, for goodness sakes. So these are very fertile times vibrationally, because it's all about vibration, and because music is the undercurrent of things is sound and frequency, and because vibration is the nature of the cosmos and what we're made on, music is the perfect tool to be able to actually facilitate, support, and encourage and celebrate change.
That's true. But Mark, Kardec says that we learned through Kardec's books that music is about vibration. So it's much more than, we can even grasp. It touches really the soul, our spiritual body. So what is it in your music that you think can be customized to every soul, as you say, in the very name of your website, the very domain? And is it about the vibration? What would you say?
It's completely about the vibration. And in the early days when I was writing the songs for the church especially, they were based upon the fact that I had very little time. I'd come home from playing clubs on Saturday night, and the minister at the time had the call on, the title for the talk the next morning, and I didn't have much time to actually sit around and write a song. So I began to take the first thing that came to me, and I ran with it. So whether it was guitar or piano, I'd start to work with it, get a melody, and then I'd start to work with the idea, which was just a title. The only thing I had to draw from was my own personal experience and what was going on for me for that week. And lo and behold, it had to do, the title fit perfectly into the issues or the situations that I was dealing with. So I would write from that place, and I had to take the first thing that came, and so there was no editing or anything. And I took it into the congregation the next morning, and in the rawness of this song, I presented it coming from the depth of my being. And I saw the impact on people because it was strictly vibration at that point. It was not a polished product. But together we'd be able to create a vibration for all of us to experience. And over time I began to explore why it began to work, and that's when I started working with sound itself. And the way the chakras are lined up in terms of frequency of music or frequency of sound within each of us. So I immediately started writing consciously from the place of where I wanted it to be received or felt in the body based upon the chakras. And so that would be the particular keys I would use in order to send the message off, that there are certain messages that happen best in the heart chakra key, whereas others that are down in the second chakra that have to do with the mud of life and the experience of life that are going to work best there. So then you start bringing in these other elements of music, when you bring in the rhythm of it, when you bring in the chordal structure of it, everything is designed through intention to have an impact on the vibration, which ultimately is to lift them up to a higher frequency to let go of the things that have been, in a sense, holding them back from remembering who they are.
It's interesting, as you're talking about chakras, we know that at your website, musicforeverysoul.com, you have a store. And amongst the many CDs, you have the chakra modes in major and minor keys, right?
Yes, yeah. Those are all instrumental, and they are designed specifically to move and function and impact certain chakras. And whereas a major key is expansive, you would use those particular songs to go ahead and give yourself energy. And the minor songs have a tendency to energetically pull us inward for reflection, for meditation, for just help in terms of problem solving and decision making. So I would listen to those kinds of songs to support that part of me, and to embrace whatever's going on in my life through the use of music and through the power of music. It's beautiful to have soundtracks through the day. You know, we had soundtracks as infants when we came to the planet. We would use our voices, and the voices, when you're around an infant, they are singing and making sound all the time. And I do not believe in any way that that's a random act, that there are certain releases that are going on through the use of the voice and certain intricacies that are occurring and certain communications through just the vehicle of sound with the cosmos. So, wow, why not? Why not?
Why not? And you have another one on chakra balancing as well, which is quite interesting. I mean, can you give us a sample about some of some of your compositions and what you do, so people can, right before we go to the break, because after the break we would like to discuss with you some other aspects of your music creation.
Okay. Well, I do a combination of what I'll call full-length songs as well as short things based upon the idea of chant and mantra as well as intentional songs. Let me just give an excerpt of something that right now is sitting in front of me, and this is a song called Wellness, which is a reminder. It's to remind the cells of what we're designed for. It says, we arrive in holiness, we have the gift of life, and we can choose the way we live, in shadow or in light. If we have grown up in a culture filled with limit, filled with fear, and we sacrifice our wellness to what they call career, and it's hard to feel the glory, and it's hard to touch the free, and it's hard to taste the moment, believing in disease. I am much more, and you are much more, and we are so far beyond the form, we just don't know it. So this is an idea of reminding us of that. And here's something else. There will come a day, and it won't be long, that I will stand right up, and I will be so strong. I'll be filled with the light, I'll be open wide. Every cell in me, it will be unified. And I will raise my hands, and I will lift my eyes, and I will shout to the world, I am alive, I will dwell in the now, and I will flow like the wind, and I'll be solid on the earth, just like I never have been. When the balance is true, when the balance is true.
Wow. As Daniel Santos, who is one of the Kardec radio team members, and he also plays guitar, he says, like, oh, he does sing, and he has a beautiful acoustic guitar. We could go on and on listening from you, Mark. It's so peaceful, and it's a combination of and the lyrics are wonderful as well. We are at a time when music is so distorted that I think, as the spirits predicted, we will reach a moment in which good souls would reincarnate to change the status of music, to really become what you're making of music, which is healing, therapy, balance, wellness, and something to help us in the inner journey too. So would you say that your music can help us understand more about our own selves, the self knowledge?
Absolutely, because you talk about the lyrics. What I write about, and I typically write in first person, and some people are bothered by that. I write it as if the person who hears it is singing it, as if it's written for them. And when they sing it or speak the words, they're talking to themselves. And they're basically using it to impact and create change. I'm beginning to see and believe for myself, as well as the design here, is that there's information within us that is coded. And it's just these times that are giving the keys to open it up. It isn't so much as telling people about how to be or to offer perspectives. It's about giving them an opportunity to reawaken to who they are. I think everyone has their own information within them, and there are certain triggers. The music is a beautiful trigger that bypasses the mind, bypasses the intellect, bypasses the old filter systems, and the vibration goes in and actually begins to stimulate the cells themselves to actually reawaken and give this information to us. And the more open we are, and the more relaxed we are and centered we are, the more we tune into this information and thus create change and reclaim our power and reclaim our presence and really the joy of living in these remarkable times.
Wow, that's fascinating. And you have a CD that I find fascinating, Ask Your Guides, because I don't see how we can really progress without being fully aware. I mean, we can progress, but progress like in our wholeness without the awareness that we have our guides. So I keep telling baby Virginia all the time, like, remember, you have your protecting spirit, your guardian angel who is with you. When you go to sleep, he's going to take you to the schools in the spirit realm. And when you're here, if you need anything, you ask for God to help, because your guardian angel is God's presence in your life as well. So, more and more people will find themselves better off in their lives if they establish a conscious relationship with their spirit guides, and you have a CD that can facilitate that. Am I right that this CD is about facilitating that relationship?
It really is. It's about keeping the idea that we are intuitive beings, and that's really, in a sense, the lost sense. I used to work with a wonderful, wonderful woman and an author from a Hay House named Sonia Choquette, and we traveled for almost 20 years together, and I wrote music to support her books. Ask Your Guides was one of the books that she wrote, and I took material that I had created through my Unity tradition, and I actually polished some of it up to fit into that experience there. And so these songs are really all about reminding us that we are not alone. See, our cultural history is that we get isolated, we get separated, and then we lose our power and we lose our presence because we get overwhelmed by the moments of living. Knowing that we have this angelic kingdom and these etheric guides and teachers, even the natural world itself is filled with support and energy. The animal kingdom is there for us. When an animal comes into our presence and is there for us, it's carrying a vibration and a message. See, we are not isolated beings here, and the more we accept that, then the more we soften into experience life as it is in this dimension, which is really so much more than it's been. So yes, Ask Your Guides is to remind us to open up to the reality that there are additional energies there for each of us. And, honestly, in the sound work that I do, there's a tool that's very, very easy to use. It's your own name, the name you came in on your birth certificate. As mine, Mark Stanton Welch, carries a frequency. And when I speak that, it creates a protective energy around me to keep my vibration in the place of balance. It also sends out a message to the angelic kingdom and the teachers and the etheric guides that it's a frequency. And when they hear that, they respond to it. Most of the angelic kingdom needs to be, in my understanding, called, except for the guardian angel. They will intervene. The others have to be called because of the nature of free will in this earthly dimension. So speaking my name, Mark Stanton Welch, is a call to get support, to get ideas, to get inspiration. However I want to use it, to find the car keys, to look for this or to find that, or to get the to get the book that I'm ready for. Yeah, it's a very exciting CD in terms of reminding us to see the bigger picture.
Is it too much if we ask you just to give us like a sample about something on that CD about the angels?
Absolutely. I'll sing a song called Angel. Yeah. It says, angel, circle around my life. Gently whisper the words, bathe me in pure light. Not a moment passes, and not a breath goes by. I hear the blessed angels sing their lullaby. Wrap me in protection and lift me up so high. Dance the days away at my side. Angel, circle around my life. Gently whisper the words, bathe me in pure light. One to unfold wisdom, and one to soothe my fears. One to ease confusion when the times are not so clear. One to give direction, and one to fill my needs. One to lead me to my dreams. Angel, circle around my life. Gently whisper the words, bathe me in pure light. That's one sound.
That's so beautiful, so inspirational. Mark, Bernadette Leal is here telling us that she's been listening to your music for 10 years, which has inspired her as well. And your music actually touched her daughter's heart after a workshop at Unity, and it actually helped her daughter accept who she is. And the mom can see the transformation now. And thank you, Bernadette, for sharing that. It's such a beautiful testimonial, and we are very grateful that you're here. Mark, we have to give a very short break, but when we come back, we'd like to know more about Music for Peace.
Okay.
We will return to our program after these messages.
New release, Liberation. In this compelling narrative, Andre Louise emphasizes the work of high-order spirits in the effort to convert the spirit Gregorio to the good, an effort that culminates with the unforgettable re-encounter with his mother, herself a highly evolved spirit, wherein he surrenders to the irresistible call of love. The book also contains information on how unhappy spirits act as they try to involve incarnates in their wiles. The spirit author tells of the intercession of high-order spirits on behalf of human beings, demonstrating the divine compassion that grants to all the blessed opportunity to free themselves by means of study, labor, and persevering service in the practice of the good. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio. to learn more about Spiritism.
Want Spiritist books for your children? At Eddie Save America, you will find a collection of them. From the best-selling book, Our Father, in which the Spirit May through Chico Xavier brought countless poems, stories, and folk tales based on the Lord's Prayer, to the beautiful and educational collection by the author Adelson Sales on Back to School and many others. Buy your copy today at www.eddiesaveamerica.com.
Nourish Your Soul with Kardec Radio.
If you missed out on previous shows, no worries. We have an on-demand sections of all previous shows and interviews. Go to our website, www.kardecradio.com.
Nourish Your Soul with Kardec Radio.
Spiritism for Everyone is the live web study meeting and educational program of the United States Spiritist Council. This year, in commemoration of the 150th anniversary of the Gospel according to Spiritism, the Spiritism for Everyone program will present an in-depth study of this remarkable book. Join us every Wednesday evening through the web from any computer or mobile device, no matter where you are in the U.S. Spiritism for Everyone is free, open to all, and requires no registration. For more information, go to www.spiritist.us.
And now we return to our program.
Dear listener, we're talking with Mark Stanton Welsh about Music for Every Soul. By the way, the website is musicforeverysoul.com, where you're going to find wonderful resources to live a musical, happy life. Mark is this great heart who is a musician, a singer, songwriter, performer, educator, facilitator, visionary, sound healer, and a vibrational alchemist. Someone who really came to change the status of music on the earth as well. And you know, he has a long experience with music and spirituality since he served as the music director at the Unity Church in San Luis Obispo, California for 15 years. He now travels internationally, in providing this musical support for New Thought conferences, churches, and his own workshops. He has already appeared on stage with Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, John Borisenko, Wayne Dyer, Doreen Virtue, Don Miguel Ruiz, Ellen Cohen, John Holland, Sandra Ray, Robin Rader, and Lucia Capaccioni. And he has lots of experience helping others as well unfold their own musical talent. And Mark is here with us directly from California, really delighting our hearts because he's not only talking to us, but he's live singing and playing. Can you believe it, dear listener? What a joy. Mark, we are delighted. Never happened at Kardec Radio before, and we are sincerely speechless. Your live music for us is just a gift for us. And when we talk about gift, there's no better gift than building peace. Jesus said, blessed are those who are peace-loving and peacemakers, so they are going to inherit the earth. And you have a CD that talks about, that sings about peace. Can you tell us more about that very special CD, please?
Well, you know, in my work through Unity and any of the New Thought religions, so many of them are about creating a peaceful world. And one of the beautiful tenets of those practices is that peace really begins within. I can be an activator and go out and force peace on the world, and I get mixed results. But when I go ahead and actually work with my own response to my own moments of living and create a peaceful state and be able to stay in my center no matter how life shows up in the forms, then I have created peace on earth. And that in itself begins to spread out to those around me, to whoever I come into contact with. And so that's really the music that I write comes from not only a social consciousness with the idea of peace and making it happen, but it always comes back to put personal responsibility and opportunity on everyone who listens. We're giving these moments to respond to. We used to react to them and try and force peace on the world and force peace upon our life, but we've already met with obviously mixed results. So every one of these songs are basically a collection of songs that through the years that I wrote for whether peace movements that I was involved in, peace opportunities, gatherings, church services, you name it, they're all there. And I also include a beautiful chant from the Hawaiian tradition, Eli Eli Ta'u Mai, which has made a great peace descend. And that opens the door to this huge panorama of chant and mantra and the music that's been around for thousands of years and sung by conscious people with beautiful intent. So
it is beautiful. We are focusing on peace right now as well because in a week and a half we're going to coordinate and sponsor an event in Washington, D.C. that if we could, at the time when we're planning it out, we would love to have you there as well. It's going to be a Peace in You meeting. It's the fourth one we do in our area where Divaldo Franco and Dr. Stephen Post from Long Island are going to talk about the science and spirituality of doing good. And we see how much your CD on peace really matches the whole message of it. And we were just thinking about how people would also benefit from knowing of your work since they are coming to the event. And it's exactly what everybody is looking for as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Because once again, if you follow the idea that it is an internal thing, anything you want to do, especially music, to help shift the vibration, because the beauty of these times is that the resistance that we have in, say, second chakra and the power center in the third chakra, the sacral chakra, those are energetic forms that and so often from the unexpressed moments of living that we haven't had the opportunity to clear. And those are the things that create the states within us that are not peaceful. This is where the anger comes from, or the fear and the pushing away of people. When we just work strictly with energy through the use of music, we are able to clear these resistances to allow us to stand in the presence of situations that before bothered us or that confronted us, and we're able to be flowing with it. And really, this is the gift of these times, I believe, in the window we just came through with 2012.
And what are some testimonials that you may have, like Bernadette Leal just shared about her daughter? I bet you have so much about, many people who come and tell about what they experience with your music. Can you share a little bit with us about these experiences that you may have heard about?
Absolutely. Some of the most rewarding and the most fulfilling is the work that I do with children, really, children of all ages, through the work with Unity and some of the New Thought churches. I do a lot of camps. I do a lot of weekend retreats with these kids, and to have them connect to the music because it is messages that they know. Each generation comes in with higher vibration of and a frequency that they carry the information already, and when it gets supported and encouraged, then it's free to birth and to flow over the cultures themselves. But so often they're forced to go back to the restrictions of the previous cultures. So to work with the kids and to have them to sing these songs and to walk in those frequencies is the most exciting thing. I'm looking here on my website, and I've actually got just a couple comments that I can read. It says, your music has been a true friend. I can't tell you how much your music has helped me. There have been times where I'd like to just throw my hands in the air and call it quits. and then I'd hear one of your songs, cry it out, and suddenly feel at peace. I don't have many people who I may lean on, and that's why I call your music my friend. When no one was there, your music was, so thank you. Wow, what a beautiful statement from someone. And another one, I just can't express how much I enjoy the music. I bought 3 tapes from you and have been listening to them, mostly in the car on my long drive to and from work. Even my 6-year-old son likes your music. He'll dance around to the tape My Oh My, which happens to be my favorite. Also, the song Testimony is my favorite. I think I could listen all day long. You know, so there are testimonies from this is an absolute gift. I'm a veterinarian who works with horses and dolphins. I play your music when I'm with horses, and it feels to play an important part in all that is going on. Thank you. And that's Carol from so it goes on, and the gift of really just being in the present and watching. Maybe it's the willingness for someone to actually open and use their voice, and this is the gift of the work that I do, that when I'm with a group of people, no matter how large or small, and they're willing to actually start singing, to me, that's the true threshold of healing. Because when we can reclaim our voice, then we create the natural tool that processes and clears all the debris out from us, the energetic debris that then can leave us in a peaceful state.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So of the CDs, you have some CDs here. We talked about work for children. You have some CDs that are for children. Can you tell us about the CDs you have so it's easier for people to find them in your website?
Yeah, let me do that. I'll go to that place right now, buy a CD. So the first CD I did for children was one called Hello World. I used to be an elementary school teacher. I taught 4th grade for about 20 years, in addition to the work that I was doing at the churches. And the Hello World CD, I remember that it's helped a whole lot of children really remember who they were. So that's one that really works on self-esteem and helping them to accept the forms of life and to reclaim their power. Another one called Life is Good. This is one that I use with a whole bunch of short songs that repeat themselves, like I give a little love, I give a little light, it comes back round and I feel all right. Life is good. They're short declarations of a particular notion and an idea that if they keep singing it, it begins to attract it to them. It's principle. And there's another one in here called Simple Living, which is a combination of 4 or 5 CDs of songs that I do most often when I'm out working with kids on that level. So those are 3 that are there. And you know what I find is that because the messages of the songs are so familiar to these generations coming in, that a lot of times parents will write me and say, man, they're connecting with the Ask Your Guide CD. You know, they're connecting with this particular chant CD. So there's no way of telling really what's going to work specifically for them. But, you know, one thing I don't do, and I have a great deal of respect for so many of our other artists, you know, and I remember the songs that are written for kids, and sometimes they're cutesy songs, and those have a very powerful purpose. But I also don't want to talk down to children because I want to respect the wisdom that they came here with, and I want to use the music, the song, the lyric, and everything to, again, remind them of who they are so that they can claim it in however life shows up for them.
It's so interesting what you're saying just now because we know a spiritist educator who lived in Brazil, and he used to say, when you talk to children, you talk to the immortal spirit. You don't really talk to the child per se, but you talk like eye to eye with the spirit because they come from a millennial experience and they can really understand you. Maybe they are not able to express it, but the spirit in itself is absorbing everything and is communicating with you too because there is such a wisdom there. And I recall even Allan Kardec in the Spirit's book asking this question, if it's possible that children are wiser than adults. And that's exactly the answer that the spirits bring. Like, oftentimes they are wiser and you have to acknowledge it. And I find that many parents are not fully aware that our children, they have sometimes much more experience than we do, and we need to open pathways for their own expression. So I think your music can really help parents, as you said, remind children of why they are here, right? They are not here simply to go to school, come back, and play. It's much more than that.
Oh, I completely agree with what you're saying, because they are the teachers. They are the wise ones of the times. And they come in with the information. It's almost like they come in with the coding and the information that's necessary for the previous generation. The trouble is we try to force them into the form of control, et cetera, and force the knowledge upon them. They're so far beyond the knowledge that we're offering them, because they come in with these new frequencies. And it's difficult, and I understand, for parents and for adults at times to surrender to that. But the children are unfiltered. They don't have those moments of living that have shut them down. Whereas we're having to go through these filters a lot by the experiences that happen to us, and we've forgotten our own magnificence. Children are here to show it to us. So when you look at the picture of a child or you look at one in the eye, when you're around that vibration and the light that they carry, it re-stimulates that inner child part of ourselves. Even Jesus said, unless you become as a little child, you won't inherit the kingdom of earth. In other words, unless we return to our place of innocence and wonder and awe and awareness and our willingness to fully participate in life, then we only get a shell and a partial, just a piece of what this dimension has to offer. So these times are about going back and reclaiming those pieces of ourselves that we remember. And so this is why children are so critical to the reminding element for us as adults. And also why people have difficulty sometimes being around children, because it brings up those elements that are unreleased and unhealed. And healing is happening in so many quick ways in these days, because it's all energy. It's all vibration. Boy, there's so much to say.
Yeah, no, but we want to hear from you. And as you're saying those things, it comes to mind, as you mentioned, the Hay House, the beautiful powers of affirmations that nowadays is validated by science, neuroscience especially, is proving to us day in, day out that when we tell ourselves certain affirmations, we can really change the activation of our brains and thus change our physiology. This is the biological perspective. In spirit, we know it's much more than that, but at least we know it's not something abstract. It's tangible. It's something that we can do for our everyday life. So your songs are carried through affirmations, and they can really help us reprogram our minds, flushing away negativity. Am I right?
Absolutely. And the songs that I write that were born by the fact that I had a 30-minute drive every morning to go into church, and I had to write something that would be used as a meditation or a joy song. I didn't have to, but I wanted to. So I would come up with these little 4-line songs that would just repeat themselves. And I would learn them quickly. The congregation would do them, and then we'd have an affirmation that supported basically the talk for the morning. When I took those out to the children I started working with, they just took to those very quickly because they were so easy, like the Life is Good song. And the reason they worked is because it was a trigger to help them remember an element and a truth of their own being. And I got songs, endless songs that are really like chants, but because they're in English and they affirm, I call them intentional songs, like Heart Please Open Wide, Free the Love I Am Inside, Heart Please Open, I Am, is a personal invitation to open up a particular center within us and return to that place of love. And another one, You and I Are So Connected, Heart to Heart, a golden thread. Through it we can feel love, love, love. Through it we unite as one. And we sing these songs and we speak them, and we remind ourselves of the grandness and the goodness and the magnificence that is in us by design. And it comes to the forefront quickly.
It feels good, Mark. We're going to give one last break. And when we come back, Mark, we would love to talk to you about your CD, Jesus the Christ, okay?
You bet. Absolutely.
We will return to our program after these messages.
Books of Andre Luis. Through the hands of the most prolific medium of all times, Chico Javier, the spirit doctor Andre Luis wrote a series of books that unveil the mechanisms of life and life after life. From the best-selling novel No Solar, Our Home, to And Life Goes On, the reader will find illumination for a fulfilled life on Earth as well as immortal happiness. Check the many titles available at the international distributor, EDI CEI of America. Their website is www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.
Spiritist Network, your gateway to on-demand Spiritist videos. www.spiritistnetwork.com.
Nourish your soul with Kardec Radio. Traveling to another country? Immigrating elsewhere? Prepare yourself by reading the book Among Brothers of Other Lands, in which several loving and wise spirits wrote through the hands of Chico Xavier and Waldo Vieira, telling all of us the tips and hints of a successful transition to a new land. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Do you want Spiritist books for your children? At Edicei of America, you'll find a collection of them, from the best-selling book Our Father, in which the Spirit Mei Mei, through Chico Xavier, brought countless poems, stories, and folk tales based on the Lord's Prayer, to the beautiful and educational collection by the author Edailson Salles on Back to School and many others. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
And now we return to our program.
Dear listener, we're talking about Music for Every Soul, a very special program with Mark Stanton Welsh. He has been here with us since the beginning of the program, telling about his beautiful music for every soul. And you can go to the website musicforeverysoul.com to get to know more about the beautiful CDs. Not only CDs, you can download and have songbooks, lead sheets, bookmarks, and so much in his website. Mark, as we are talking about the beautiful collection, and we could stay here the whole day listening and learning from you, there is one particular CD would like to highlight, Jesus the Christ. And the reason we say this is because this year we're celebrating 150 years of the Gospel according to Spiritism, and it's all about Jesus. And you have this beautiful CD about it. Can you tell us about the CD, please?
Well, part of the tradition in Unity churches as a New Thought tradition is to take the frequency of Jesus and to weave it as one of the master teachers, the great master teachers. And I took it upon myself. There's a couple times a year during Christmas and Easter, which is typical for a lot of established religions, is that they spend more time celebrating that vibration. Now, as a music director, I started somewhere back in the 90s of writing songs about Jesus. And I remember the very first one I wrote was called When I Am Gone, which is on this CD. And it was written with the idea that that when someone says goodbye to something, they usually want to say, they're leaving, they know they're leaving, they say goodbye to everyone. And I took that idea and wove it into the idea that Jesus was saying goodbye to everyone, whether it really happened or not. But it turned out to be a very powerful song about being really conscious at the moment of transition and how we shift from one place to the other, which is one of the lessons that I received. What was beautiful for me is that as years went on, I began, and I'd write at least one or more songs each Easter and Christmas until the body of work grew. This is only one of probably 23 songs that are about the Jesus story from birth to beyond. And I began to experience, when I wrote these songs, a very personal experience with them. as if I had a past life in the Essene community and perhaps in one way or another had some personal contact with the frequency of Jesus of Nazareth. And, you know, it became a very personal experience where as I wrote the song, I would be, you know, very moved and my heart would open and I would cry a lot as if I could actually remember certain elements about that. So be that as it may, that vibration fed into the creation of these songs. And really all I did is I took the traditional stories and I wove them through the guidance that I received and gave them more of a new thought perspective in terms of providing, you know, Jesus as a way shower as opposed to some of the biblical traditions. And I was able to keep true to a story but add these elements that would expand because I knew that the listener would be able to relate to these points on a deep level. Boy, that's a hard one to put into words. You know,
I know. So you want to sing so we can feel it.
I didn't hear that. What?
I don't know. If you want to sing a little bit about some of the songs that you have.
Oh, okay. I'll give a little excerpt to some of them here.
Thank you.
You know, the When I Am Gone one. Let me try that one. Give me 1 second here. I'm afraid I'll forget. I'm not afraid. I'm concerned I'll forget the lyric of the song, but be that as it may.
Question, if you don't mind. I was curious because I haven't had time yet to listen to the whole CD, but there is one track about Judas, and I was just curious about what it is.
Okay, that's a fun one.
Yeah,
because you know everything had meaning. You know, the characters themselves in New Thought traditions and perhaps in yours, they represent, and so there's like a metaphysical perspective on what they mean. This kind of tells a story. It's more of a piano song. But I'll do my best. He goes, Judas, poor Judas. Judas, he disciple, one of the 12, born to fill the heavenly plan. Judas was a treasure, but he wanted more to walk with Jesus, not enough for this man. Judas craved honor, he festered with pride, so to the house of Caiaphas he ran. Oh, no, no, no. Judas, poor Judas. Judas say he misled, he made a mistake, wished to publicly renunciate. He say, accept me with your brethren, I'll give you the man, you can take him quietly away. Caiaphas responded, when he stands in our hands, for your service you shall be paid. Judas. So really what's happening, it's telling the story of what he did and his choice to do it, that it was necessary that he betray Jesus because that was the vehicle that actually put the plan into action. Had he not been the player that sort of gave up on his beliefs, if you will, then the story would not have played out, at least in the form that it did. So Judas was necessary as an element, and in a sense, there's that part of our own self that sabotages and betrays our own forward progress and our own spiritual self. So as we sing this song, you know, and somewhere along the way, I always wrote songs that turned out great in the end. In other words, you know, that everything worked out, or at least it gave it hope, or it gave it a direction. And in the end, you know, even though the story is that Judas killed himself and he hung himself, the truth is that it became the vehicle that reminded people. It says Judas is desired, is covetous, ambitious, and the ego that's carried away. When we're selfish, proud, and driven by the need to have possessions, crucifixion will be not far away. Give up the things of senses, hold a vision, set the purpose, let love resurrect today, let love resurrect today. So, amen, and thank you to Judas for his capacity to be the vehicle to remind us of this very challenging element of ourselves in this human dimension.
Wow.
Wow.
It's interesting, and I think it's a very compassionate view on Judas, which is beautiful as well. It's a non-judgmental one. It's actually all embracing and very compassionate, and it's beautiful too. By the way, Bernadette Liao shared here that every time she gives talks at Spiritist Centers, she begins with one of the affirmations you have, which is "Life is good," and she often has a very positive response. Thank you, Bernadette, for sharing that as well. So, Mark, we don't want to let you go, but time is running out, and would like to ask you, what would you like to share as your final comments with the listener at Kardec Radio today regarding your music?
Wow. I would like to, quickly just say in regards to music in general, the most important element for all of us is to reclaim our own particular voice, our own voice, and to sing. So many people have these versions of reasons that they don't sing because someone said don't sing and it doesn't sound this way or that. And I say ignore it all and find your own private place and just let the sound out, because it's so critical. Music is a beautiful vehicle to let that sound out, and it's a healing process to let the voice and let the words be sung, let the words be spoken. This is the most powerful thing we can do in terms of healing of any of the great diseases, heart disease, etc. These wounds that we carry. Yes, my music is specifically created to support the vibration of health and the vibration of wholeness. And the more that times unfold, the more I see the value of it. I've always felt like I've been riding some edge of a wave, kind of the leading edge, that this music needed to be written. I've been driven to write it, and I continue to write it to support these times of transition. And if people just open up to the idea that this music exists, it will come to them. They will find a way to get it, whether it's mine or whether it's the large number of and the growing number of New Thought artists or conscious artists who are reminding people through the beauty of music that there is so much more. Otherwise, I really invite people to go explore my websites. There's another one, an offshoot called Sound Healer, that is available from the top of any of the pages on Music for Every Soul, and there are lots of resources to help support one's vibration. I have a mystery school I'm working on where it teaches people certain information that used to be very, very kept, and so I'm very excited about passing on the knowledge of sound and music and how we can use it to empower ourselves. A bunch of music, the Chakra Immersion series, about really these focused CDs that work on each of the chakras that I'm working through. I have Chakra 1 for the root and the sacral. That's done. There's a resource area that has music specifically written for people on the hospice journey, and it's a resource where they can get songs that will support them to keep their conscious self aware as they make that transition between dimensions. Another whole section on 12-step programs, songs to help people move through that whole process of reclaiming their power. There's just so many things and services that I could offer. If there's musicians that are out there and are very interested in writing music that heals and empowers, I have a 9-week online course that they can actually use to learn some of the tricks of the trade, if you will, to make their songs be very different, called Healing Musician Music. And on it goes. There's just lots of beautiful things and services that I can offer to support people in their reawakening and their vibrational change of these times. I'm more than happy to help. I have services. I have some subscriptions online of gratitudes, processes, and that they can work. So, I know we're out of time, and I don't want to sound like I'm, pitching my programs here, but I'm just saying that there's these things that are available, and a lot of times we hear that there's not many opportunities in these times, but there are. And not only me, but many others who are putting out really quality programs that are designed to really help people really remember and to step off kind of that self-help track of trying to get better and get better and get better. It's not that anymore. It's just reclaiming who we are and going inward and saying, this is who I am, let me be it. And wow.
Yeah, that's
I'm just
wonderful.
grateful I had the opportunity to share with you, as well as the listeners who are a part of this program, and so much appreciation from that.
Grateful, Mark. And if I'm not asking too much, usually we wrap up the program at Kardec Radio with a short prayerful moment. Would you mind if I ask you to sing something as our prayerful moment?
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Peace will fill the world when we finally understand that only from within can it be spread throughout the land. Every single person living peace in what we do, only then will our dream come true. Peace will fill the world when we finally understand that only from within can it be spread throughout the land. Every single person living peace in what we do, only then will our dream come true.
Wow, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts, Mark, for being with us and for being who you are and doing what you're doing. Thank you so very much. We hope to stay in touch with you.
Likewise. Thank you. And blessings to you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Dear listener, we are, renewed. It's a different day already because Mark was here with us. Go to his website, musicforeverysoul.com, and explore the beautiful resources to really support your transformation, to give you joy and hope, and to your family as well. God is wonderful, and each one of us are unique. And if we're fulfilling our roles, everything is much better. Next week, we're going to have Andre Louis Tips for Self-Love. Join us at Kardec Radio, but not only next week, tomorrow at SpiritistaWareness.com. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful segments from our hosts around the world. And on Wednesday, the God at Home Moment with Francisca Carnes from England and Mackenzie Mello in Massachusetts. And on Thursdays, we have Spiritist Talks with Daniel Santos streaming beautiful talks from speakers around the world. For now, dear listener, keep feeling the blessings of God and enjoy your life.
Thank you for listening to Kardec Radio, broadcasting live every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Email us and share your comments at www.kardecradio.com. Until next time, we wish you many blessings.